Hey, summer friends, Olivia here. Welcome to the channel and welcome to another Speed Build Sunday. How are you? I hope you're fantastic. You're watching a Sims video, so you're starting out pretty good. Today we're doing a cute, it's a studio and I'm on the studio grind. It is a studio style place and I want to say it's like IKEA-ish. And I always like to say that because I don't want anyone coming at me being like, they don't have that IKEA. I know. It's just like that. I just had that kind of vibe in my head. Very KKB, which is, I don't know if you're familiar with, but like they're a CC creator, that kind of vibe. So let's get into it. I'm starting in the bathroom because if you are new here, hi, I'm Olivia, and I do not like doing bathrooms. There's only like one bathroom I've ever made in the history of ever in my Sims career that I actually liked. And sad story about that bathroom is that house actually got one of the times because there's been several that my computer died, it also died with it. So RIP. But we are doing a bathroom and I found myself being more successful doing bathrooms in The Sims if I have an inspo photo. So here's the inspo photo I was looking at, and just like with any inspo, nothing's ever copy paste, right? We're just inspired. We're not copying. We're just like, oh, hey, I like that. And I'm going to do something like that. So, anyway, we are doing that first. We're starting there. And I have been using this tile a lot lately. I think, if I remember correctly, it came from the pack, some type of like, I don't want to say pack, but some type of rabbit hole I was on one time when I was looking for, I was going to do a public pool. I was working on my forever save. It's like, here's what happened. I was working on my forever save for a very, very long time. I'm talking a long time. I put everything on my Google Drive, okay? And I'm not talking about like the actual save. I still have it because that's obviously not on my Google Drive. That's on like the EA Electronic Arts folder. Yes. I'm talking about like content that I like, recorded it like from the beginning, like these are my thoughts on my forever save. I'm going to do this here, the plan. I did the whole thing, okay? Probably most of January and February of this year. I ran out of storage space on my Google, and partly because of these videos, right? Okay. So then it was like, would you like to upgrade? I'm like, I just upgraded. Like, no, dude. And it had that whole thing of like, well, you can make extra space if you do this. Okay. One of this was kind of get rid of your more like bigger videos. And I'm like, yeah, because if they're big videos, I probably don't need them. And honestly, when I clicked on that button and I said yes, it did give me like a little preview like it does. And I was like, oh, that's like old stuff. Back when I lived at my other house, that was like old Sim stuff. No, it was. Yeah, it was. But it was also, I forgot, in order to like keep my computer good, because I just spent all this money on it, right? I've been trying to do I've been trying to do uploads often to my Google Drive. Okay, so you see where this is going, right? It was too late. I had already deleted the forever save videos. So you'll never see, well, maybe I'll do it again, but you'll never be able to see how great my community pool turned out and how great that this tile made the bathrooms and that community pool look. So, a long way to tell you, listen, I saw the other day online, it said, yeah, sure, you can go through a breakup, sure. But have you ever experienced deleting something like that in The Sims? And I'm like, I feel like I feel like I'm still grieving that process, that whole thing. And hey, it's questionable whether they'd actually be able to get into that shower. Now, I know for a fact that Sims would not be able to. I'm talking about in our I almost said theatrical, in our theatrical world, in our made up make believe world here, would someone physically be able to get into that shower? I think so. Would big booty Judy Sims? Probably not. Okay. But I don't play. And I don't put these, and I have so much freaking custom content. These do not go on like the gallery, trust me. So, I don't post them anywhere. They're just for fun. We're having fun. Are we? Are we having fun? I am. Anyway, so it is a studio style. So the bathroom has the door, but the rest of it's like bedroom, living room, and then kitchen, dining area. And the reason why I said it was IKEA vibes is because of the kitchen. We'll see in a little bit when we get there. it just felt that way to me. Like it felt like I don't want to say cookie cutter kitchen, but cookie cutter kitchen. You know what I mean? And if you don't, I think you'll know what I mean in a second. So while I was building this last night, I was listening to, I don't know if you follow, and if not, you're not going to get this at all, but Kale from Teen Mom, Kale Lowry. Okay. Um, and if you do, maybe you follow her Barely Famous podcast. And honestly, I don't, but I do love everything she does. I think it's because I'm such a millennial teen mom girly, and I also just like relate for her in the way of not that she has 7 or whatever, how many kids she has, a lot of kids. Not that I relate in that way, but she's a mom. She's a multiple business owner. She started as like rags to riches story for reals. And so I admire that. And from time to time, I'll do some binging of her podcast. And she also has a podcast with, I forgot her, Lindsay Chrisley. And that is Todd Chrisley's estranged daughter. Basically, there's so much to unpack there. We're not going to. Don't worry, we're not unpacking. But what I would like to unpack, if we could, is that they're having a conflict. Basically, Lindsay had a DUWI and it was in the news, this whole thing. She went silent, rightfully so, right? Like probably wanted to hide under a freaking rock, right? And so she wasn't doing the podcast for a while. And everyone was getting really mad. The comments were getting very hateful. Oh my God, people are just no chill at all. And it got to the point where Kale was like, that's her business partner for this podcast, and she's kind of like, "Come on, girl, we gotta make a stand. We gotta do something." And I could tell, and she's like, my hands are tied right now. She's not ready, and it just seemed like that way. Well, anyway, they finally did a part 2 series. Of course, got all the tea. You got to have part 1, part 2, because the whole thing. But they did finally have a podcast, kind of talking about. Well, really, they didn't. I mean, they talk about not wanting to have breadcrumbs and wanting to be transparent, but it felt to me like a lot of like we can't talk about stuff, which whatever. But in the end, the whole podcast got me thinking. Kale made a really good point. She was saying that some people can handle things and some people can't. And then to make it fair, she did say, and I'm sure there's some things that Lindsay can handle that I can't, and vice versa. And it just got me thinking. A lot of times we are quick to judge people. We'll be like, I've been through worse. I remember Kim Kardashian one time making a point. It was either Kim or one of the sisters said, my problems, everybody tends to look at me and be like, you're a millionaire, shut up. As if like more money, more problems, right? And that could be true. I don't know. I'm not a millionaire, but I would like, give me $1 million and I'll figure it out. I'll let you know. Okay. I'll let you guys know. But that's such a fair statement. People have hard lives and people have stories and things that happen to them, and it's just terrible sometimes. And sometimes people seem to not. One of the things is you may not know. You don't know what someone's going through. You don't know what their day's like or what their past is like. And I think it's just a good example. Even though I was a little frustrated by their podcast not giving us what they should have gave, like just come out and say, look, it'd be better if they would have sat down and their podcast is called Coffee and Convos. Okay, have some coffee. Let's have a convo. Like, tell us all the things that I don't want to say that are owed to us, because they don't owe us a thing. But what I mean is when you invite people into your life, it's almost like, oh, they're like, well, that part, no. It felt weird in that way. But it just gave a good lesson, a hidden lesson within this whole thing that I just wanted to share in case you needed the lesson or just in case you wanted to have a thought to ponder. It's so easy for us to look at other people and say, oh, they've I've gone through worse and I'm sad me, poor me, right? It's a poor me, the pick me, the poor me, right? That's kind of what this is about. But I think if we can just like dial back, and the thing I tell my kids a lot and I talk about a lot is saying, if you go on Google Maps and you go to your location, like where you are right now, and you just zoom out and you keep zooming out and you keep zooming out, and all of a sudden you're like on the top of the world, yeah, you're a speck. Like we are all literally a little tiny, teeny. Mom and I were at dinner the other day, and I said, you know what? See this little tiny piece of sugar that fell out of my packet? That's us. And we were both laughing. That's so true. We are a little tiny speck of pepper, even smaller, like a piece of granule of sugar. We're that little, because that is my point. everybody's going through stuff. Everybody deals with it differently. And it's so important that we get into a way better, especially for our parents. We get into a way of like, we got to pay attention to what's going on right here. You know what I mean? Like, I think that's important. These people that were literally like cussing and telling them, you owe us this with pitchforks, give us the story. Like, focus on yourself, dudes. Like, that's kind of what I'm trying to say. Long way and so deep for a Sims video, right? Sorry. But that's what I was going to say. Just mind your business and put that energy back into your own life. Okay. Anyway, I think the reason why I said IKEA as well is because, okay, now do you understand the kitchen vibes? What I was saying, like kind of IKEA y. And also the fridge is kind of IKEA y. I don't know. They don't even sell appliances. That was dumb. But it's the vibe. And now the table. Like that table can't tell me that's not the IKEA showroom because it probably is. The chairs for one. And then that table, yes. And even that plant, okay, the fake plant. However, they have a really good selection of really good plants too. I was surprised by the pricing. I thought I would get a better deal. But their plants, it's where it's at. If you've just landed on my channel, you're probably like, "Oh my god, this girl can blab." Yes. Hi. I'm Olivia and I can blab. And I've been blabbing since I was probably 6 years old. I've been that person just doesn't shut up. So that's not your thing, I get it. But if it is, welcome to your people. Welcome in. And I'm glad. I don't know, like for me, I just created this channel based off what my style. My style is I watch Sims when I clean, I watch Sims when I do laundry, when I clean my closet out. And so I designed this channel in the way of my people listening to the channel. So I feel like I say that a lot as if I'm like, as if I'm like trying to sell it to say, this is who I am. This is, but what I'm really trying to tell you is the style of the channel is that I yap and I play Sims. That's what we do. And if that's not your thing, I totally get it. But if it is, I'm so glad you're here, really. Because I don't know if you haven't seen any of my other videos, I've gotten super serious about my channel lately, as opposed to just doing it as a hobby when I could. Seasons of my life, I'd play a lot. Some seasons I wouldn't. And so now I'm just trying to get super like hyper focused on this channel and see what it can be. So again, welcome in. I'm glad you're here. Everybody who's here, I'm so glad. I'm glad that you clicked on my channel. I'm glad that the YouTube gods sent you my way, and I hope you'll stay for a while. Okay, so the entryway, we're about to work on that. I definitely feel like this could have been an apartment or definitely a studio, but it definitely could be an apartment building or studio building. What I love about studios is, and that's why I build a lot of them, and I like them in real life too. My mom's had one, um, and I just really love the idea that everything is right there. It is actually really great. We could not do that as a family. Although, ironically enough, my kids seem to gravitate to our bedroom. I think I've said this before, but we moved out of a like just like a starter home. We rented a starter home for like 7 years as we built our family. And we just grew out of it. There was a very distinctive season of my life that I looked at Robert and said, "We got to move." We just started to feel like we were like at the time it was COVID. That's probably why. With COVID, we were home way more than we were. And it became so obvious to me that we need our own space. Kids are getting older, the whole thing. So we ended up deciding in that moment, like, let's buy a house. Oh, God. That whole entire experience was an experience. And I'm just glad to be on the other side of it. And it's not like we have the money at all. At the time, the only way we made it possible was we had a really successful Etsy business that had completely blown up. We made t-shirts. And at the time it was when the Chiefs went to the Super Bowl for the first time. I believe that's around the time. Or they're just getting really popular. Patrick Mahomes just got on there and around that time. Actually, no, I take that back. It was when the Royals went to the World Series. That was when it was. And so we were making these funny Royals t-shirts and they blew up. And it it's what funded us to have a down payment for our house. That's the truth. And so once the money was the thing that we could do for once, we never had that amount of money in our life, we were able to buy a house. And I just wish that I wish I had a thought or Robert had a thought or someone would have said something to us of maybe think of you could move or, right? Because I think, not to say that we wouldn't have, but to have the thought of maybe it's not the full picture. Maybe owning a home isn't the final goal, you know? And I think about that a lot. But basically what I'm trying to say is we bought a house, and I am so grateful now that we have it, because our kids have spent the past couple years, 4 years, 5 years growing up here. We have our own room, but what all that to say is we all end up hanging out in the same vicinity, especially at night. Like we'll all end up in our room. And now our room is like ridiculously stupidly big. So it's almost like a little apartment up here. And so that's actually not like we're sitting on top of each other. We have like someone could be across the room. And that's what ends up happening. Someone's on the phone across the room, two people are in the bed, I'm on my desk, Robertson, you know. It's like it's not like we're literally just, in a little tiny space. But I find it funny that we end up just hanging out together here. And it's like, well, we kind of could have just done that at our old house and paid 700 rent, $700 rent, which is insane. In Kansas, I don't know where you are, but in Kansas City, $700 rent is impossible, especially for a family home. I know my mom had been looking recently for an apartment and we couldn't find anything for like $1,400 or more. I'm serious. So it's a double. That's just life. I don't mean to sound like an old millennial here. I feel like that's the new, when people say boomer, the new thing is, I don't mean to sound like a elder millennial, but I don't. But everything is so expensive. That's just the life. And that is why, my friends, you got to work hard. People often say to me, "Oh my God, I don't know how you can run a business and work full time job and all of that." I'm like, I didn't know I had another choice. Like, where are we at? Do I have? Tell me, is there another choice that I have that we can explore together? Because I will sign up. Let me tell you, I will sign up for it. Things are just expensive. It's just the truth. There is this funny like reel that I made for Phoenix's Instagram page, because I'm that kind of person. And by the way, Phoenix is my dog. He's so cute. I made him an Instagram page, and I'll post it down below if you want to go follow him, because he'd love that and I'd love that. But I put a cute picture of him playing outside, I think, and it said a little thing that I saw on someone else's. That's what we do. We see something, we're copying. That's social media for you. But anyway, I put the cute him playing outside, and then some cute like music over it, right? And it's like, "Are you free today?" And then it says, "Me, I'm expensive every day." And that's how I feel that in my bones. He is expensive every day, and I am expensive every day. My kids are expensive every day. I'm not going to say Robert's expensive every day. He can live off of $60 a week probably. And that's actually an inside joke, because um it's an inside joke, but I will say that I don't want to give breadcrumbs and not give the thing. But basically, we recently, I lost my job. So I was looking for unemployment stuff, and I found an old unemployment claim for back in like 2000 and I think 10. And I was getting like $54 a week for a very short while. We end up figuring our life out. That's the purpose, right? Like you got to use that stuff sometimes to get through life. We needed to live. It didn't even pay our rent, and that's why we lost our apartment. But that is a really long story that I don't want to talk about today. But when you're young and I'm not going to say dumb. I think that's so, I don't even want to say that. We were not young and dumb. We were young and had no clue. So, but I was laughing the other day at Robert. I'm like, did you know that back in like 2011, we got like $54 a week? I did, for unemployment whenever I was in between jobs. Yeah. I don't know how did I live off that? How did we live? Well, that was before kids. That was definitely the summer before we had Maya. And after that, we were locked in and we didn't need support. We were locked in. We were working our butts off, and we didn't have to have the support. But I was glad I was there at the time. I'm really trying to make this. I really want to use this on more, whatever it's called, right there in the corner. I really want to use it because I feel as though it goes with the bed really well. And I never get a chance to make it work in a build. And so you can see me struggling. I'm like, I'm trying to make it work because it fits. But then I realized, oh, she can't have a nightstand. We can't have that. You got to have a place for your Stanley. You got to have a place for your Kindle, all the things. So we had to do some mingling around. And then it just didn't work out. I'm sad to say. I'm sad to report that I thought about right about this moment. It's just not going to work out. So maybe another build. That's what I always say. Maybe your time will come at another build. And maybe it won't. I have rugs that are like very specific, like that I would have to have at a very specific house. Matter of fact, one of the reasons I'm keeping some of these said rugs is because I'm like, if I ever do a color challenge again, which by the way I'm thinking about doing, it's just a challenge that's like comfort to me. It's like one of those OG things, kind of like people that I see time and time again. It never gets old. They do like the rags to riches, 100 baby challenge, whatever. Similarly, I feel as though for me personally, doing a color challenge, the house is all that vibe. That is like kind of like OG for me. That's what I used to do a lot when I was bored. So anyway, I have certain rugs and things. I'm like, I'll save that for when I do the color challenge. And I haven't got around to it. And so then your CC folder then becomes crazy. And you got to go spend money that you shouldn't on a new computer and spend $2,400. And then then the new computer needs to do keyboard and your screen. Oh my God, you got to have a new curved screen. Your mouse isn't going to work. No, 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 no. And then I need a fan for my desk because I'm gaming. I'm a gamer. I sweat when I game. I don't. That's disgusting. Ugh. I hardly ever sweat, by the way. I don't know why I feel the need to tell you that, but I hardly ever sweat. It's also probably, you can probably tell, well, you can probably say, well, do you ever do physical activity? Not really. But even if so, if I go on a walk, whatever, I'm just not someone who does that. I don't sweat a lot. Anyway, that's weird. Back to this, but it's like that whole thing. It's like your time will come, maybe. And if not, that's okay. You're going to be tucked away safely. Well, I say safely, we all know, kind of safely in my CC folder. Anywho, I had a great time with you today. I hope that you like the way this turns out. I'm going to cut it a little bit early and I'll put some chill music on. I have got to get back to it. But I want to say thanks for sticking around. I love that you're here. If you like what I'm doing, do all the YouTube things, like and share. That'd be awesome. Comment below, say hey. I will literally do a happy dance, and be sure to follow, or as YouTube say, subscribe. And that way you don't miss one of my videos. And I'll catch you next time.
So really you ain't gonna hit me back, yeah. Now it's all just you got me on blast, damn. You're over it, I've been done. We're so toxic, can't get enough. Ooh, I'll go and say it like a mantra. You know what you want, do ya? Oh, hell no, I won't play the monster, no matter what you tell yourself. I should have known that we could never be friends. I hear you just thought we could, but we could never be friends. 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 You feel a type of way, well that's fantastic. Nothing to something and now it's drastic. Don't tell your friends we're so done. It never ends. You having fun. Ooh, I'll go and say it like a mantra. You know what you want, do ya? Oh, hell no, I won't play the monster, no matter what you tell yourself. Walking away, your words are lost on me. It's taking everything not to turn around. Throw it away, see if you'll let go of me when you're not holding me. I can see it now. Hey, when I lose, but if I'm gonna lose you, I'm gonna lose it. I'm gonna lose it. I'm like, oh shit, I've been doing this a long time. Lost in my head, I don't care, I'm not gonna lose it. I'm not gonna lose this. I'm up all day, all night, we playing our last fight. Now in hindsight, I don't care, I'm not gonna lose it. I'm not gonna lose this. Yeah, kinda hate myself sometimes. Everything was on the line. Didn't wanna be the one who had to say it. No, I can't rewind the time. Promise I'll put down